All right, man. Dan Campbell made a prediction about the Lions offense. He said that they were close to taking off, and he said he felt like they was really, really close to taking off versus, after the Tampa Bay game, and I balked at it. I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's the same, Lion rhetoric. It's the same rhetoric. It's the same false promises, and they always talking about somebody close to taking off, or we almost there, and it's still I'm kind of scoring by the old regimes that's in past. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it don't seem like he was lying about the offense when he said the Lions' offense was close to taking off, and they took off versus Seattle. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people complain about the early bye that the Lions had, but guess what? It came at the right time. Had a bunch of injuries early on, and then they got another built-in bye in there because I think they got back-to-back Thursday games after Thanksgiving, so it'd kind of be like having another bye late in the season. So the league kind of doing the Lions some favors. We don't historically see that, and shout out to the Tigers for them getting it together. So they played about around an hour and a half, and when I'm recording this video. So at 2:30, so they beat Houston. So hopefully they can do it again and wrap up the wild card round and, come back to the crib. It's crazy. They're doing the best of three in all three games in Houston. It's crazy, but I get it. Baseball does have the best playoff format as far as when it comes to multiple games in a series. The best playoff format is probably March Madness and followed by the NFL single elimination. But baseball and hockey got the most unpredictable in my opinion. So yeah, it's just my opinion on it, right? But nonetheless, so now he's predicting that Jahmyr Gibbs is about to take off after he said he feel like the Lions offense is really, really close. He's now saying that Jahmyr Gibbs is possibly about to really take off into another stratosphere for the Lions from Detroit. And I'm in the wrong screen. I apologize. Let's switch that over. That's last video. There we go. And I mean, he was pretty much spot on. And I'm going to speak on Tim Patrick too, the comments on Tim Patrick. But he was pretty much spot on when talking about the Lions offense feeling like they were really close to taking off and they exploded versus the Seattle Seahawks, which they had some defensive injuries, whatever. So they stepped up when they needed to. And, he was very close about the Seattle Seahawks taking off. So, about the Lions offense taking off. So he said he feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is really about to go off. Now you got to remember, Jahmyr Gibbs came in the season with a hamstring injury. What I didn't know was that, what I didn't know was that, what I didn't know was that Sam Laporta had a hamstring injury. I didn't even know Ennis Rackstraw had a hamstring injury. So, I was a little bit out the loop for that for somebody to cover the Lions on a daily basis. But the best running back duo in the NFL continued to ascend. David Montgomery swiped the highlights with a ridiculous bulldozing 40-yard catch and run in the Detroit Lions Monday night win over Seattle Seahawks. But Coach Dan Campbell noted on Tuesday that Jahmyr Gibbs is on the rise. Quote, he coming on, oh, did he? Campbell said a second-year back who dealt with the preseason hamstring issues. Quote, I feel like he and Sam Laporta both yesterday, they look like, okay, here we go, man. They got their legs back under them. They look as healthy as they look since the beginning of training camp. They're on the uptick. Gibbs continues to get better. There was about probably 3 runs yesterday that are close to going all the way. It's been like that every week. There's been more and more of these that are this close, so I would anticipate he's about to really take off. He's coming on. So, no diddy. So, yeah, I mean, I would honestly tend to believe him. He's been close to breaking a few. We knew he had the hamstring issues and all that. Now, this could be coming full circle for him. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And it's gonna come through points where in my opinion, where Dave Montgomery's gonna kind of hit a low. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna hit a low. Then it's gonna come to points where Gibbs gonna hit a low. I mean, playing running back in the league is tough. And you used to have to say, like, Jesus, how back in the day did they play running back? how did Eric Dickerson and Walter Payton and Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith carry the load in the game that was very, very physical back then? So in today's NFL, you got, usually got two running backs that's really carrying the load. Even in Baltimore, they got the heel guy, whatever his name is, and they got Derrick Henry. So, but yeah, it's tough to carry. It's tough to carry that load, man. And so I'm glad they got each other. This was, remember, kind of the whole two-back system in the NFL kind of got real hot when they kind of had the situation with what's the brother's name, Ron Dane and Tiki Barber. When they had that situation with them, man, and it was thunder and lightning, it didn't really work out the way they wanted them to work out. But you got the idea now. For the most part, that's the way the league is kind of going into. So they got each other to lean on. They got each other to lean on, man. So, but yeah, I look forward to it, man. I think I feel like the same way. I feel like he getting closer and closer. And I'm kind of saying like, oh, he close to popping one. He close to doing this. He close to doing that. And shout out to the offensive line too, man. The offensive line, they did their thing too. Offensive line, they did their thing. They did their absolute thing versus the, with the injuries to Frank Ragnow and the way that left guard came in and played, man. He played an NFC Championship game last year. The way he came in and played, man, it's just to the point where, you can buy some time with Frank Ragnow, allow him to get healthy and just keep rolling in another direction. So, but yeah, I feel like he close to doing this thing, man. I think he close to really hitting his stride. So, but as long as, Dave Montgomery rolling and they rolling how they rolling, they'll be all right doing it this way. But at some point, we really gonna need them to really, take off to another level. But now Tim Patrick is starting to get some praise around here. Tim Patrick starting to feel it with Jared Goff is going to be beautiful. And he looking pretty good for a guy that had an Achilles injury and then came back with an ACL injury or a combination, whatever the combination was in order. But for 2 years running, Tim Patrick was the number 2 receiver with the Denver Broncos. 3 years later, he's becoming the number 3 for the Lions. Recently promoted from the practice squad, Patrick caught 2 passes, 52 yards when the Lions win over the Seattle Seahawks Monday night. At 6'4", he has the size and physicality the Lions have been seeking on the outside. He said, quote, "I feel it feels good." Oh, I didn't even do that. But it feels good, Patrick said. "I know I'm capable what I'm capable of, and I'm just going to keep taking it one day at a time and be thankful for the opportunity, because they didn't have to sign me, but they did, and they're giving me the opportunity. So I'm going to make sure I make the best of it." So he only ran 11 routes Monday night, but showed improvement in chemistry with Jared Goff on their 2 connections. The first was a 23-yard catch and run on a short pass over the middle that set up a touchdown to get the Lions a 14 lead in the third quarter. The second was a 29-yard deep shot in the fourth quarter that sparked Detroit Lions' final touchdown drive, a 42-29 run. He says that Patrick didn't join the Lions until the later stages of training camp after being released by the Broncos, but he said the chemistry with Goff is growing, man. Goff had another chance to hit him for a big gain over the middle in the fourth, but he was sacked for safety before he can get rid of the ball. Quote, "Obviously, you're not perfect," said Patrick, "but you're learning each and every day, man, and that's why we practice. We practice until we get it right, and when we do get it right, then it's time to really go and it's going to be beautiful." So he said to contribute to a win on Monday Night Football in week 4 of 2024 is amazing. Patrick said, "It's just kind of my story as a whole. It's always starting at the bottom, and I just got to work my way to the top, and I'm sure going to keep doing it." Some of them the cards that people that's dealt sometimes. He continues, he said, "I don't know the last time I've been a part of a 40-point scoring game, so it's a blessing. And it just shows that we got so many weapons out there." Patrick said, "We got 2 number 1 receivers. We got 2 number 1 tight ends. We got 2 number 1 running backs. And when everyone's on point, man, we're hard to stop." Yeah, they got a lot of capable guys, man. And, he's kind of starting to fit in. And that's kind of the downside bringing in offensive talent, especially offensive talent in the middle of the season, it becomes very, very tough, man. And it becomes very, very tough, in my opinion. So, um, yeah, it becomes tough because, you kind of gotta, fit that, fit that, you gotta fit that, you gotta form that chemistry. Football is different. You got to form that connection. You got to get used to how they break their routes and how they come out of their breaks and all that type of stuff. So, but hey, glad to see that they starting to hit their stride, and hopefully at the right time we healthy. Making that playoff run, we healthy, and we really starting to hit our rhythm then, or hitting our rhythm and stride. So thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit our notification, increase your chance. Get notifications. We go live or drop video. Find me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist for more videos like this. Peace.